I welcome everybody to Something New is Possible. I'm here with Angela Scharf. So welcome very much and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting.
It's my pleasure. So I'm going to read your bio and then we're going to just get into it and tell people why I asked you to be on my podcast. Angela Scharf was born in Vienna and moved to Israel in 1976 to study political science and Middle East studies at Jerusalem University. After completing her studies, she launched a successful textile business. In 1990, she relocated abroad, living in South Korea, Germany, and Belgium. From 1980 to 2016, Angela developed a wide-ranging network in the textile industry, connecting markets across Europe and Asia. Since returning to Israel in 2016, Angela has been deeply engaged with Women Wage Peace, WWP, and now coordinates WWP's foreign relation team, fostering diplomatic ties and helping to organize global events and peace initiatives. Angela also plays a key role in promoting collaboration between Women Wage Peace and the Palestinian organization Women of the Sun. So welcome and thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Yes. So I want to start by talking about Women Wage Peace. So tell us a little bit more about the organization, because people like to hear it from people that are involved and your involvement with it.
Well, Women Wage Peace was created in September 2014 after the last Gaza war, when a few mothers came together and said, okay, enough is enough. We don't want to send our sons anymore to war. Very soon, within a month, there were 1,000 women joining.
Wow.
Now, the women are from the left, the center, and the right. They're religious and secular, and they're Jewish and Arabs. This is very important. It's a grassroots movement, and nowadays we're the biggest grassroots movement in Israel. We have about 50,000 signed up members.
Wow.
And we're having two goals. Goal number one is to bring the parties, the leaders of both parties, to sit down together and to start negotiation. Whatever will be the outcome, which will be agreed upon by both sides, this is acceptable for us. So we don't say, no, we only want a two-state solution or we only want a one-state solution. Because we're having members who are as well from the right as also religious, and also we have a few from settlements, we had to go a very delicate way in order to include everybody. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, people were always saying, yeah, but you're naive and you don't have an exact view and vision what to do. Nowadays, this is exactly this that helps us to be all over. Mm-hmm. And the second goal together, the goal is to include women in this peace process, in the negotiation. Women have to be there because the voice of women is a completely different voice than the voice of men. And unfortunately, today, they're mostly, if not to say almost 100%, men included in a negotiation, whether you can see it now even in this new board of peace, or if it was in Sharm el-Sheikh at the meeting over there were no women. Mm-hmm. You can see it also in the Fatah, you can see it in the Knesset, there are almost no women involved. So we had different things happening, like marches. We had a march of 20,000 people in 2016 and another one 2017 of 30,000 people, including few thousand Arab women, also from the Palestinian side. We organized a conference at the Tel Aviv University in 2018 with 1,000 students and many diplomats and people from abroad joining. But at one point, we understood that we needed to find a partner on the other side, because people were all the time asking us, so with whom do you want to make peace? As I said, we had Arab-Israeli members in Women Wage Peace. With the help of those Arab members, we contacted a few women from the Palestinian side, and we started meeting in 2018 in Beit Jala. Beit Jala is between Jerusalem and Bethlehem. It's in the area C which was at that time possible for both sides to visit. So we had a place there where once per month we were meeting, about 50 women. And to tell you that it was easy, absolutely not. In the beginning, it was very emotional, crying and screaming and really complicated. But slowly, slowly, we got to know each other. We got to meet, to understand the other one. And we started to sit down and we decided to draw our vision, our common vision, what we want actually. And it took us 9 months, like giving birth, to
Oh, wow.
to draw a small paper. I'll show you. This is it.
Oh,
We
wow.
have it in English, Hebrew, and Arabic.
Great.
And it basically says, we, Palestinian and Israeli women from all walks of life, are united in a human desire for a future of peace, freedom, equality, rights, and security for our children and the next generation, and so on. I can tell you why did it take 9 months? Because every single word had to be discussed, not only translated, but discussed. Like, what is security? What does security mean for us? What does it mean for the Palestinians? After 9 months, we succeeded, we wrote it, and then we decided to call it the Mother's Call. Then COVID hit and we couldn't go on. We were just meeting by Zoom. And in 2021, the Palestinian women, they decided that they wanted to be independent,
Okay.
and they established an NGO by themselves. And they went a few times to the PA, to the Palestinian Authority, to Abu Mazen to get the permission to open a women organization. They managed, and end of 2021, they opened Women of the Sun. And in March 22, we officially signed our Sisters Pact. This was at the Dead Sea, a very,
Oh,
very
wow.
emotional meeting. Now, I just want to mention this white and turquoise, these are our colors. We are always coming in white and turquoise. And the Women of the Sun, they decided that they wanted to have a kind of yellowish orange scarf for the sun.
Okay.
Now, a small story. When we had this meeting, it was in the middle of March 22. The war in Ukraine and Russia had broken out end of February 22. We were proposing to bring a mother from the Russian and from the Ukrainian side to talk as well at the opening.
Wow.
The Palestinians did not agree. They
Okay.
did not agree because they were afraid to have some political issues. And so we said, okay, let's bring just an Ukrainian woman. They did not agree. They
Okay.
just wanted to make it Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun.
Okay.
Now, the funny story was that when coming there, and we're coming with our flags in turquoise, and they came with their flags in yellow, it was all over Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine.
Yes, of course. So funny. Wow.
Nobody
Wow.
thought of it. Okay. Then we started to work together to have marches together. President Biden came in July 22 to Israel, to Jerusalem. We demonstrated together in Jerusalem. And the Women of the Sun, especially the founder, Reem Al-Hajjaj, she came several times to Israel. She came actually 7 times in order to talk in front of Israeli public. The subject was, have you ever seen a Palestinian peace activist? And I can tell you it was extremely successful. People were really astonished.
Of course.
And we had other meetings together. And the biggest meeting that we were planning and were doing was on the 4th of October 23.
Wow.
On the 4th of October 23, we met in Jerusalem and at the Dead Sea, because not all the Palestinians got a permit to enter Jerusalem.
Right.
You know, it is areas, Palestinian territory, and they need. So we got permits for 200 Palestinians, and the others, they could only meet at the Dead Sea. So we did it in 2 parts, and we were 1,500 women from Palestine, from Israel, and also many people from abroad, supporters from France, from all kind of countries, and with the very huge support of the diplomatic community here. The American charge d'affaires, Stephanie Hallett, she had the keynote speak. The Irish ambassador was speaking. The EU ambassador was speaking. So it was really very positive. And we had meetings beforehand in the evenings with all the diplomats from the Israeli side one evening, and the other evening with the diplomats from the Palestinian side. We came home from this day full of energy. It was really very, very strong. And then 3 days later, you know what happened? Disaster. It was a massacre. It was just, we were traumatized. The important point, what happened between us, between Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun, on the 7th of October was the dream. She was calling us and asking how we were, and she was worrying about Vivian Silver. I don't know whether you heard about Vivian Silver, but she was a 50-year peace activist from Canada, Israel, and she was living in Kibbutz Be'eri. She was bringing children from Gaza to hospitals in Israel by her car and so on. And Rim, she knew her. And she knew she was in this Kibbutz Be'eri. So she was really worried. And what she said to us was, whatever will happen now, what is for sure, we have to continue. And we have to continue even stronger than before. And this gave us a lot of strength, because we didn't know what to think, what to do. For a few weeks, we were totally traumatized. Of course, we couldn't meet anymore. All the borders were closed. We could meet only by Zoom. What happened that because of Vivian Silver, our movement got a lot of attention abroad. We gave hundreds of interviews all over the world because of Vivian Silver. So the only, you can say, so positive thing that came out of this massacre was that we got well known, and together with us, of course, Women of the Sun also. I went abroad in November because I had my son living in Hong Kong at that time. And after I came back, beginning of December 2023, I was full of energy that something had to be done. We cannot stay numb like this. And I started to go, I forgot to mention, I am since 5 years, I am coordinating the foreign relation team at Women Wage Peace. And I'm in contact with the diplomats and people abroad. So I decided to go to different diplomats and ask them to help us. And how could they help us? Maybe they could invite us abroad, because we couldn't meet anymore. So we needed a place, a forum where to meet. So I asked them, why don't you organize a women conference, or you invite us to your parliament or something? Women in Women Wage Peace were telling me, are you a little bit crazy or exaggerating? I have the feeling this can work. And it worked. The first one who reacted extremely positive was the Swedish ambassador, and he invited us to his residence in Herzliya, which is close to Tel Aviv. And he managed to get 6 permits together with the EU for 6 of the Palestinians. And they came beginning of February, and we were 6 of Women Wage Peace, 6 of Women of the Sun, and 8 other ambassadors meeting at a round table and discussing what we can do, how they could help us. There is one episode I want to mention. It was really moving. So we were sitting on one side where all the diplomats, and on the other side it was Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun sitting together, but mixed. And there were 2 women, one of us and one of them, sitting, holding hands and crying. So the ambassadors were asking, what is happening? So we explained them. Here, Yael from Women Wage Peace, her brother was killed when she was 12 years old, when he was in the army. But still, she decided to become a peace activist already at the age of 12. And the other woman, Nadia, 3 weeks earlier, she had lost 30 members of her family in Gaza. And still, they were willing to sit together and to cry together and to continue their way to peace. And this was really very, very strong. And it is this kind of message that is helping us to catch the attention of so many people abroad. And our mother's call that is saying that what we want, no shaming, no blaming. We don't want to look backwards. Who did what to whom? Because we will never end and we will not continue. So what we want is a better future for our children and the next generation. This new language that we created is really helping us to talk together, to look forward. And whenever we are reaching a point, of course, we don't agree always, Whenever we are having a conflict or a point of discussion, we go back to this mother's call. So what happened afterwards was that we got invited by so many different governments, and we started to receive a lot of attention and awards abroad. We were nominated twice for the Peace Nobel Prize.
Oh, wow.
We were, we were nominated for the Sakharov Prize, which is the most famous prize in Europe. We were finalists over there. We got the prize of Hillary Clinton. I had the honor to go and to speak in front of Hillary Clinton and to receive the award. We got the award of Amal and George Clooney and Diane van Furstenberg, etc., etc. Just last week, we were invited to Barcelona and we received an award of the president of Catalonia. And this is really amazing because Spain, as you probably know, is very, very anti-Israel during the last months or 2 years. And that the president of Catalonia, of Barcelona, he invited us and he gave us this award is something really special. So this is in short what we are doing abroad. So we're having a lot of success abroad. In Israel, it is much more difficult.
What?
In Israel and in Palestine, because people are very cautious right now.
What language do you communicate in?
With Women of the Sun?
Yeah.
With Women of the Sun in English, or Reem, she doesn't speak English well, so we always have somebody who is translating. Now, another thing is when we are invited abroad, we are always going 3 of us. We're going Reem, I mean, somebody of the Palestinians, and 2 women from Women Wage Peace, a Jewish and an Arab one.
And, you know, we have Christian Arabs and Muslim Arabs, and are both faith.
Both are with us. I mean, for example, I went last summer, we were invited to Argentina and Uruguay. So I went with the Arab Hiam, she's Christian, and Reem, she is Muslim, and me Jewish. And I must say, I was really worried. It was in August last year, in the middle of the war. There were lots and lots of demonstration in Argentina and in Uruguay, also pro, but mostly anti-Israel. And I was afraid to be the Jewish Israeli standing on stage and being attacked, not physically, but I can tell you, nothing. The moment we 3 of us were sitting there and talking, and they could see the interaction between us and the feeling between us, people were just standing up at the end of each speech and clapping and clapping and clapping. And they wanted autographs and hugging with us. And we saw, I think, 6,000 people. 6,000. Wow. There were ministers, and we met the president of Uruguay and the member of parliament in Uruguay, member of parliament in Argentina, and the Senate. We had more than 40 interviews, including CNN. It was just amazing. And last November, we were in Belgium at the European Parliament. We were speaking there, and we met the Queen and the King of Belgium. To come back to Israel, since a few days after the massacre of 7th of October, we started to stand with signs of Vivian Silver and other people that we thought were hostage, because in the beginning we thought that Vivian was taken hostage. Right. Actually, afterwards it turned out that she was burned in her home. And since that moment until, I think, 2 weeks ago, we were standing every day with the families of the hostages. To tell you that it was easy, no.
Of course not.
In the beginning, we were only asking for releasing the hostages. After a few months, we started to ask for ending of the war. And then we also started to demonstrate against the government. Because in the beginning, we didn't want to do that because we said, okay, we're in a war. So we don't want to demonstrate against the government. But when we understood that this war is not going to end, that it is in the interest of the government to continue the war, so then we changed our approach.
So, you know, you talk about how the women that are members are able to let go of the horrible things that happened to them. You know, whether you lost a brother or, you know, a loved one in the army, or, you know, however we lose people, people are able to rise above it and say, okay, these are horrible things that happen, and somehow we still need to figure out a way to get together and communicate so that we can create something better for our kids, for our grandkids, for our future. Where do these women find the strength to do it? Because it's like I see so many people who are just like giving up. This is horrible. It's never going to change. It's always going to be this way.
Well, I can tell you from my own experience. For me, if I wouldn't have had women wage peace, I would be totally depressed, devastated. This really gives me the strength to be together with other women who are having the same idea of what to do, and that there is no other way. We don't see any other way to create peace in this region. Peace, just a situation without fighting. Because fact is that these wars for 76 years, or for the last 2.5 years, it didn't bring anything.
Right.
It brings one war after the other. Now, after 2.5 years, where are we? Hamas is coming back in Gaza. We don't have really, okay, now for the last 1 or 2 weeks, things are moving a little bit, and we see in which direction it will move. But to have today, eventually Turkey and Qatar sending soldiers into Gaza, or even not sending soldiers, just sitting in the board, this is the worst thing that can happen to us. So we are definitely convinced that there is no other way to get security when you make peace, and that it is worthwhile for both sides to have this dignity and the security on both sides.
Yes. So it's like you need this in order to have something that moves you forward and be part
Definitely.
of and make a difference. And it's better than giving up and sitting at home, but it's hard. I can understand where people have a hard time with it. So hopefully for those of you who are listening, this will inspire you to get involved in something that you believe in and something that will bring a better future for the next generations. I have small kids, so I wouldn't want them to be involved with this. You have grandkids. It's like I can't imagine. I grew up in Europe. It's like it's so foreign for me. So how can people get involved? We're going to have info, but like what's a good way for people to get involved if they wanted to get involved with
Well,
Women Wage Peace?
first of all, we do have support groups all over.
Okay.
In many countries. We do have in the States, we have in Germany, we have in Belgium, in Australia, in Canada, in Argentina, in Uruguay.
Okay.
So if they're interested, we can put them in contact with these support groups. This is one thing. The other thing is to sign our Mother's Call. We're trying to get as many as possible signatures for this Mother's Call. The Mother Call, it was also signed by Pope Franciscus 2 years ago, and Hillary Clinton and Meryl Streep and many, many others. Another thing is we are going to have a barefoot walk in Rome on the 24th of March.
Okay.
It will be also in the Vatican, and in the end we will reach the Pope.
Wow.
And it will be Yael Admi and Rim Hajjaj, the founders of Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun. They will go in front, and behind them, hundreds or thousands, I don't know how many people will come. And this will be just the start of a big campaign. There is an organization called Vital Voices, an American organization, which was created 27 years ago by Hillary Clinton and others. They have thousands and thousands of people, women all around the world.
Okay.
And they're helping organizations or women to get the support they need. And they decided to support Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun, the Mother's Call. And they are organizing this, and they will make a worldwide global campaign about our Mother's Call.
Okay.
And this is just the beginning. And we will organize these barefoot walks all over. So if you're interested to join a barefoot walk or to help us to organize it, it can be even 3 people or 10 people or how many you want, to show us that you are with us.
Good. So people can organize a walk. And how does the organization finance itself?
Well, Women Wage Peace, we are making a crowdfunding once per year.
Okay.
And it was in October. But of course, this is not enough for all the expenses of the year. We do get some grants from some countries, like, for example, Germany. They gave us a grant. We were getting from USAID a big grant together with Women of the Sun. And unfortunately, it was cut. And with these grants, we are doing all kind of projects together about how to create out of activists leaders on both sides,
Yeah, yeah, great.
connected with religion or connected with environment and so on. But what we saw, what is the most important thing, is just to make the people meet.
Yes.
Because the Israelis, they have no possibilities to meet Palestinians today,
Yes.
and vice versa.
Right.
So for the Palestinian, an Israeli is a soldier who is coming and killing. And for the Israelis, a Palestinian is a terrorist.
Right.
So the moment that we succeed, even when it is only 20 or 100 people to meet and to have conversation and to get empathy for the other person and to see that the other mother is also worrying about her son and her children, this is changing a world.
Yes.
And this is what we are working on. So if you have any possibility to donate, we can give you our website, our link how to donate, either to Women of the Sun or Women Wage Peace, or we have a common donation as well. And I must say that Women of the Sun nowadays needs much more help than us, because we are having this crowdfunding, so we have more money. And another thing is we are working voluntarily. So we have the two CEOs and maybe another 2-3 women who are getting a salary, but everybody else is voluntarily, like I'm working voluntarily. But in Women of the Sun, of course, they cannot afford it, but because they need to get some money home. So they need to pay the salaries and the office and so on. So they are much more in need for financial help.
Right. I can imagine. So the barefoot walk, is it? It's also going to be in Israel. I'm
Yes.
assuming. And,
Yes.
And if people want
At the same time.
And if they want to organize something in their Moshavim or something, they could do it. Or is it just going to be located and so people could participate if they wanted to?
Well, we are going to make a bigger walk in Jerusalem. We're organizing it. But if somebody wants to organize a walk wherever, if it is another place in Israel or abroad, just contact us, just make pictures of you walking barefoot, and we will give you the information what to do, what kind of signs to hold. And then it will be shown on the 24th of March, together with the march in Rome. Look, here, at the same time, we are in Australia, in America, in Argentina, we're trying in Morocco, etc., etc. So I think it's going to be very strong.
Good. I want to go back a little bit, and this may be obvious for us because we're women, but why it is so important for women to be part of the conversation and the decision-making process. So can you say a few things about that?
Well, women are about 50% of the population, if not more. So it seems to be obvious that we should be involved. But actually, at least in Israel and also in Palestine, it is going backwards. It is really terrible, the situation in Israel. Whether you look at the Knesset, whether you look at CEOs of big companies, it is really regressing. Why is it so important? Because the voice of women are different voice. We are having a different approach to solve problems than men. We are used to solve problems on the small frame in our families. And for example, we are much more concerned about education and health service, etc., than men. They are more involved in borders and military, and so the approach is a completely different one.
It's important to know that women and men are not created equal. We are different. We have different skills, and I think those skills will be utilized in the process.
Exactly.
So, anything else you want to share before we come to finish with our interview today? Any last words or information that you want to share?
Well, one thing I just want to ask: don't give up on us. We are fighting for it. We are fighting for peace. We don't ask you to be pro-Palestinian or pro-Israeli. Just be pro-peace. This is the most important. And we will reach it. We will manage it. We
We
have
will.
no other choice.
That's it. We have no other choice, and we will do it. As a human
Yeah,
species, it's like I always say, we are, when all of us are taken care of, that's when we can do well. And as a species, everybody needs to be taken care of. And so that's peace. So thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing all this good information. And
you're welcome.
let's see what will happen.
We are having a very, very important year.
Yes, we
There will
do.
be elections. There will be elections in Israel, and there should be also elections in Palestine within a year. But the elections in Israel are extremely important.
Yes.
So we are going to
Work hard.
demonstrate, to fight for it. We are trying also to involve the Arab society and
Mm,
Arab women
mm.
in the negotiation and in the demonstration,
Good.
because it is so important. And
Absolutely.
we're standing behind them in this terrible situation that is happening right now in Israel, that so many Arab citizens are being murdered.
Yes.
Fights between themselves, but still, it has to do with the government policy.
Of course.
So we're having a very difficult year in front of us. Not to mention the Iran war, maybe now, upcoming Iran war.
Yes, I know.
Uh,
I know. So
But
here we are, and
we will
we will
do it.
continue to do what we need to do.
Exactly.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you so much for watching the episode with Angela Scharf. There are takeaways, but not as we usually have. So if you're interested, please get involved, check it out, check out the Mother's Call, maybe sign it. And I also felt called to talk a little about neuroscience and the obstacles that we have and what we can do to make it easier for people that come from different cultures, people that have been traumatized, to actually work together towards, creating peace and harmony. So what we know from neuroscience is that oftentimes when something happens to us, that it gets stored deep inside the consciousness, and that when we are looking to move forward and that we have a common goal, that those triggers, of course, get stirred. And when we are starting to have a dialogue, we usually, we try to stay in the intellectual world, the academic world, the world of words, which is located in the neocortex, which is only 10% of us. And then very quickly, what happens as we're entering into dialogue, because, as you can see, there's real trauma that happened. And I'm not want to diminish it, and I'm not here to talk about politics or, to talk about one side's better than the other, is that the trauma gets reinforced and often quickly triggered by that things that look similar. So, for instance, if I had something bad happen to me as a child, was a, let's just say with a male or with a boy, I might have issues not just with that, particular person, but the way that trauma works, I might have issues with all the males, all the men, all boys, always. And I may have to work really, really hard just to coexist with people. So, with neuroemotional coaching, and some of you don't know what that is, it's really an opportunity to look at those triggers and the traumas and bring more neutrality to it. And so, what we do is we disempower, in a good way, the trigger inside. And what that allows is not for us to forget, but it really allows for us to get into dialogue. Because, like those two organizations who have suffered and have been traumatized in a great deal, the groups are coming together and they're saying, hey, listen, but still we want to talk and we want to be part of the peace process. And we just want to have, peace and quiet. And we want to find a way, a solution, and so that can take place. So neuroemotional coaching, just like it does in business or it does in your personal life, has the power for us to neutralize inside of us the triggers and the conflicts that we carry, and so that we can have an easier time to talk about or talk with the people that we want to be talking to. So I talk about my own process a lot. I had a very traumatic childhood, and because I was at the other end of being, having somebody work with me for many years, I was able to remove the negative impact of the trigger that I have inside, and so that I can function much better and I'm not impacted all the time and having to live with that trigger or have to be strong in order to function and shove it aside. So hopefully that's all making you curious and you want to learn about neuroemotional coaching. A long time ago, I worked with an Israeli woman, and we worked on her. We looked and checked to see how actually Palestinians lived inside of her consciousness, meaning was it a neutral response, was it a triggersome response, was it a negative response? And of course, it was a negative response, as you can imagine. And as we were looking to see where it came from, we quickly realized that it didn't really originate with something that was a trauma necessarily with the Palestinian, but it actually was related to something else. So just know that, of course, it's complicated, but within the complication, we can bring some relief as we are dealing with the origins of the trauma, which usually happen much earlier, and that it can bring some peace and harmony to the person, to the individual, and then to the group as well. So if that makes you curious, please go to my website, clearintentions.net, sign up for a free introductory call, and you can see the impact and what that could actually mean for your life. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.